Thank you very much for joining this evening session on MIAD 810, which is titled Diplomacy Theory and Practice. And tonight we are going to look at Module 2 of this particular course, where we are going to examine three subjects. So the first thing we are going to look at is characteristics of diplomacy. Then we will proceed to diplomatic immunity and privileges. Then we are going to look at the consular officers and the consular posts. So from my slide, you can see I put principles of diplomatic operation. So these are what we are going to look at today. So taking us back to the mode one. In mode one, we look at diplomacy, understand, and what we need to understand is that diplomacy is the most important tools countries use to manage their relationship with other countries. So that's the most important tools they use to manage their relationship with other countries. So instead of using military forces or conflict, diplomacy allows states to communicate, negotiate, and cooperate peacefully. So without diplomacy, communication among country, negotiation among country, or cooperation among country is going to be difficult. So with diplomacy, it facilitates communication, negotiation, and cooperation peacefully among nations. So it remains the most important tools that states use in communicating or maintaining relationship with other country. And diplomacy is being carried out by trained representative of a country, understand, which are known as diplomats. They are trained representative of a country and they are known as diplomat. So these diplomats, they work in embassies, consulate, and international organizations. So when you say a diplomat, you can work either in an embassy, in a consulate, or an international organization. You understand that? So
Yeah,
their
oh, the
role is
fried
to
rice.
protect.
No, you know my right. Did you gonna
Can
do?
you please unmute yourself, please? So their role is to protect their country interest. Understand? So a diplomat is being sent to a country to protect the interest of its country. So protection of the national interest of the country that sent them. Understand? So in essence, this is just a how do you call an iceberg of what we did in our first module. So I'm just trying to explain to you. So this particular module, it's going to focus on the main principle that guide diplomatic work. The main principle that guide diplomatic work, and we are going to focus on three major parts, which is characteristics of diplomacy, diplomatic immunity and privileges, and also consular officers and posts. You understand? Now, let's look at characteristics of diplomacy. Characteristics of diplomacy. The number one characteristics of diplomacy we have here is peaceful management. Peaceful management. Not just peaceful management of anything, but peaceful management of international relation. Peaceful management of international relations. So, in essence, one of the main characteristics of diplomacy is that it promotes peaceful solution in international problem. So it one of we say peaceful management of international relation. That's one of the characteristics of diplomacy. So we now say that it help to promote peaceful solution to international problem because there are problem in international system. So the easiest way we can provide solution to all these problem is through diplomacy. So diplomacy manage this problem by providing solution. That's why I say peaceful management. Managing it in a sense that it's not going to lead to force or military intervention. So countries use diplomacy to avoid war and reduce tension. So peaceful insertion of diplomacy prevents war and reduce tensions. So through diplomacy, talks and negotiation is being put in to reduce tension or violence in a particular place. You understand now? So, for example, now, when two countries, when they have border disputes, when two countries have border dispute, diplomat may meet to negotiate a peaceful settlement instead of starting war. Understand now? For instance, Nigeria and Cameroon, they had it before. Nigeria and Cameroon, they have it before. Bakassi Peninsula. Understand now? So instead of going to war, it is preferable we go on a peaceful negotiation. So that is number one characteristics of diplomacy. That is peaceful management of international relations. Because our problem that need to be managed, that if you manage this problem, it's not going to escalate into violence or war. So that is number one. Number two is representation. When we say representation, here we mean representation of the state. At the beginning, I said those people that work in this aspect are called diplomat, and these diplomat represent the interest of their own country. So, representation of the state, diplomat represent their country in foreign states. They represent their own country in foreign states because they act as the official voice of the government and communicate their country policy, interest, and position in another country. I repeat myself. I said they act as the official voice of the government. That is the government that sent them somewhere. They represent the voice. They serve as the voice of the government. Listen, so they help to communicate their country policies, interests, and position. Understand now? So that's representation of the country interest. Understand? So they help to communicate government policy in foreign country. As you can see in my slide, communicate, they help to communicate government policy in foreign country. Understand? They serve as the voice of the government in another country. You understand now? I'll give an example now. See, when a new ambassador, for instance, when a new ambassador arrive in a foreign country, Tinubu has already nominated ambassadors, right? And they have already showed which country each of them are going to go, right? So when they nominate ambassador, go to this country, go to this country, there is something that ambassador will do before doing any work in that particular country. So now, that ambassador, they are going to all these ambassadors, they are going to formally present a document. That document, it is called letters of credicent rather, credicent. We did it in mode one. So letter of credicent. Credicent is a Credence. So that ambassador that they send to a country must present that particular document to the head of that state of that country is going to stay. That's right. This one, that letter is going to show. This show they officially represent the government. It's not that Tinubu will ask an ambassador to go to a country, and that country, when he immediately get to the country, he goes straight to the embassy to start his duty. No, before you start your work, you have to present that letter, the letter of credence. So letters, normal letters, and of credence. Credence is a Credence. Listen, so that letter show that you are officially representing your own country in the host country. That is number two characteristics of diplomacy. Why the third characteristics of diplomacy is a negotiation. Negotiation. Negotiation is one of the most important function of diplomacy. Because diplomats they negotiate agreement between countries on many issues. Understand? They negotiate agreement between countries on many issues, such as trade agreement, peace treaties, security cooperation, environmental policy. Son, as you can see in my slide, I said it's a negotiation in diplomacy because this negotiation it involves agreement on trade, peace, and security. Trade agreement, peace treaty, security cooperation, and environmental policy. And successful negotiation requires patience, skill, and compromise. Before you can successfully negotiate something, either an agreement or a treaty, you have to be patient, skillful, and compromise also have to be involved. Yes or no? So, for example, now you see, before an international trade agreement is put into place, they usually pass through several months of negotiation, sometimes years of negotiation before country can sign those agreements. You understand now? So before agreement can be put in place, especially in trade and commerce, it passed through several months before a country will say, okay, let us sign this agreement. Because you have to be very, very patient in the negotiation process. You understand? So the next characteristics of diplomacy is communication and information gathering. Communication and information gathering. That's number four, communication and information gathering. Once you communication and information gathering, you see, diplomats sometimes also act. They act to collect, they collect and report information about political, economical, and social development in their host country. Example now, they send me, for instance, they send me to Benin Republic as the diplomat. And I said, I also act as information collector. That is, I collect information based on the economic affairs, political affairs, and social development. Because this information I have, we can also try to see how we can also help our country. Because this information help the home country. Understand? It helps the home country to understand many situations in the host country. This information is going to help in how do you call, in making our foreign policy decision. If I understand a country politically, economically, and socially, if I understand them, it's going to make me easier. It's going to make it easier for the ambassador or the diplomat to formulate the foreign policy decision. So, for instance, I give an example now. For example, diplomat may report about election, economic changes, or social movement in the host country. So the diplomat can say, okay, during the election, this is how they conducted this election, and there was no crisis. Okay, if I report it to the home country, and the home country will now say, okay, how they can see to imply to adopt some of the process they use there. So this is about, and the next one we have is protection of national interest. National interest. Listen, you know, from the beginning, I said when diplomats are sent to a country, they go to that country to represent the interest of their home country in the host country. We have two things here: home country and host country. Home country is where the diplomat is coming from. Host country is where he is posted for. He is posted to. Listen now. So the protection of national interest. So diplomat they help countries protect country protect and promote their national interest. They help to protect and promote their national interest. I want to talk about the national interest. National interest sometimes may include economic growth, national security, political influence, protection of citizens abroad. This can be national interest. Understand now? So they, they work the interests are represented and supported in international relation. Listen, because as a diplomat, you are like an envoy. Listen, you are like a representative of your country. So when you go there, you uphold that national interest of your country. Understand? You don't go to you don't go to protect it only. You go there to protect and promote it. That is why this man, Reno Omokri. So my analysis in the WhatsApp group, I said Reno Omokri is sent to Mexico. See, he's in the best position to promote Nigeria national interest, especially cultural diplomacy, because you see, he's always in the made in Nigeria attire, and it's the best position. Many Africans are there. Many how do you call it, African dissidents, they are in Mexico, and the best way to let them understand the Africa culture is to send somebody that understand the cultural diplomacy, that which is part of Nigeria. How do you call Nigeria national interest? I said so. The next one we have is promotion of international cooperation. Promotion of international cooperation. The diplomats, they also encourage cooperation between countries. They encourage cooperation between countries because many global problems cannot be solved by one country alone. There are some problems that are global, which you need many countries to come together to solve it, not only one country. You understand? So diplomacy now bring a platform, understand now, where countries work together to discuss that particular global problem. For instance, issue on climate change, terrorism, global health, international trade. These are things that cause across border the globe, right? So diplomats make it easier for this how do you call country to come and sit down and talk about these matters. I give an example now. During COVID-19 pandemic, government, the government in the world, understand, they use diplomatic channel to cooperate on vaccine distribution and medical support. Because Africa, most of the countries in Africa, we don't have the vaccine, we don't have medical support, we don't have the vaccine. Understand? But because we use diplomatic channel to make sure that okay, this vaccine that you people are having there, let us have it in Africa too. So if there was no diplomatic channel, this cooperation, in this international cooperation, is not going to exist. Talk less of Africa having the vaccine to COVID-19. Do you understand? So the next the next characteristics of diplomacy is confidentiality. Confidentiality. So when you talk about confidentiality, we often we mean privacy or private. So now we mean private or privacy. So confidentiality being a characteristic of diplomacy, it means that confidential negotiation, listen, is one of the principles, one of the characteristics that allow diplomats to discuss sensitive issues freely. Listen, you can see it, you can see from the slide, it allow them to discuss sensitive issue freely without pressure from the public or the media. That is, there are some things that are very sensitive. The media supposed not to know about it. So the diplomat, with that, they are very secretive. They are very secretive. So they let things to be done in secret, privately, without the public pressure or the media pressure. Listen, although confidentiality is important, but government need to balance confidentiality with transparency. Listen, transparency means that what you are doing, let people know that you are doing it. Confidentiality, like, let us keep this in secret. But it has to be balanced. Confidentiality needs to be balanced with transparency and public accountability. If you are saying you are working, let us know what you are doing. You understand? Even if if you cannot expose everything, let us know what you are doing. Okay, we know that okay, you are doing. So that transparency and public accountability have to be balanced with confidentiality. Understand? Why these 8 characteristics of diplomacy is professionalism. Professionalism, which we call professional diplomacy. Understand that? That is modern diplomacy. The current diplomacy we have, in which we call the contemporary diplomacy or the modern diplomacy, is carried out by trained professional. That is people that are trained. You cannot just wake up one day. That is why sometimes that's why we have career diploma and non-career diplomat. The career diplomat, they are trained in that particular aspect. The non-career diplomat, they are experts on their own field, and they go on particular training to perfect themselves on that particular field they are sending them to. So many countries have foreign service system. Nigeria also have it, Nigerian foreign service system, where they train diplomats. Nigeria have it. I think they have it in Lagos and Abuja. Foreign service system. Understand, where they train people to become diplomat. Understand, they train people in areas such as international law, negotiation skill, languages. That is, you are Nigerian and you want to be diplomat. At least try to speak another language. If it's Arabic, Chinese, French, Portuguese, try to learn that. Even if it's the basic one, try to learn that language. Listen, so this foreign service system, they help in teaching people that want to be diplomat, international law, negotiation skill, languages, international politics. So this professional training, it helps diplomat to perform their duty effectively. Listen, you are being sent to Togo or Benin Republic and they speak only French, and you speak English, and you don't even know how to greet them good morning or good afternoon in French. You are not going to be feeling comfortable in that country. So that is why the foreign service system, they train them to be professional. You understand? So that is number 8 characteristics of diplomacy. Why the number 9 characteristics of diplomacy is legal rule or legal rule. Legal rule and let me say legal rule and international law. That is, diplomacy operates under international law and agreement. Understand? And that international law and agreement we are talking about, the first one that is going to come to the brain of anyone studying this course is the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relation. Is the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relation of 1961. That is the first thing that is going to come to the mind. That is, anything that diplomacy, anything a diplomat is going to do is being backed up by legal rule and international law. They don't exercise their function outside legal rule and international law. Because at the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations in 1961, they stated the rules of diplomatic relation, including the privileges and the responsibility. So you follow what is legal, what is in the book, that this is our law, that we are diplomats, this is our law, you follow that one. Understand? And the last one I'm having here is reciprocity. That's number 10, reciprocity. You know, everybody know the meaning of reciprocity. So reciprocity means that the country that treats each other diplomatically equal. You treat me well, I treat you well. You treat me bad, I treat you bad. So each diplomat have that sense. So if one country grants certain privilege to foreign diplomats, it is expected that the diplomat to receive the same privilege abroad. Which means that if they send a diplomat to Benin Republic and they treated that diplomat well, then Benin Republic also will be expecting that the diplomat they send to Nigeria should be treated well also. But if they do not treat him well, our diplomat in their own country also is going to face the same problem. So reciprocity is also part of diplomacy. Understand now? That is, country grant diplomatic mutual privilege. Diplomatic mutual privilege to ensure that there's fair treatment and maintain balance in diplomatic relation. You want them to treat your country well, your diplomat well, you should also treat their own diplomat well in your country. Understand? Question. Any question for me before I move? Question. I don't know whether you can hear me. Everything is silent. I'm just talking. Can I proceed?
Yes, you
Yes,
can
you
Can I
can. We
proceed.
can
proceed,
hear
please?
you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I proceed now. Now, the next slide I have here is called diplomatic immunity and privileges. Diplomatic immunity and privileges. So you know one thing you need to know: diplomatic immunity, you understand, is the special legal protection, special legal protection given to diplomats in the country where they work. Special legal protection given to diplomats in the country where they work, which means that as a diplomat, we send you to a country, we send you to Benin Republic. Listen now, that country will give you a special privilege, a special protection. Listen, because that special protection they are giving you, it is legally backed up. Listen now, so the diplomatic immunity, it protects the diplomat from being arrested, persecuted, or harassed by the host country. So if you are being sent to a country as a diplomat, they cannot arrest you, they cannot harass you, or they cannot how do you call persecute you. I'll give you some example when we are proceeding. I'll give you some example that has happened where some diplomat caused some problem and they did not do anything. Understand? So the purpose of diplomatic immunity, is to allow diplomat to perform their duty without interference or pressure from the host government. You understand now? So it is just to allow this diplomat to perform their duty without being harassed or being without interference or being manipulated by the host country. You understand? So it's like a shield. From the slide, you can see we said diplomatic immunity shield diplomat. It shield diplomat from arrest, persecution, or harassment. So you might be wondering that why are diplomats so special? Why are they being protected, shield in the host country? Listen, because it has a legal basic, which we call the legal basis of diplomatic immunity. Listen, that is, it is legally backed up. So the main international agreement on this diplomatic immunity, understand now, is in the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations of 1961. This is the third time I will mention that Vienna Convention. Understand now, the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations of 1961. Understand now, this Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations in 1961, it's an agreement. It's an international agreement. Listen now. So it explains three major things. This international agreement that I mentioned now, this agreement, it explains the right of diplomats, the privileges they receive, the responsibility they must follow. I repeat it: the right of diplomat, the privileges they receive, and the responsibility they must follow. So most countries in the world, they follow this Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations of 1961. Understand? So that is why you see in the slide I said it is governed, the diplomatic immunity. The diplomatic immunity, it is governed by the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations in 1961, which outline the diplomatic rights and the responsibility. Understand? So we proceed. Types of diplomatic immunity. Types of diplomatic immunity. Number one we have on the slide here is personal protection. Personal protection. And when we talk about personal protection, we mean that diplomat cannot be arrested or detained by authorities in the host country, which means that they cannot arrest you if you are a diplomat. If you are sent to a country, if from Nigeria they send you to Benin Republic to go and be a diplomat there, they cannot arrest you. They cannot detain you. You understand now? This protection ensure that diplomats can carry out their work safely. Understand? It ensures that the diplomat can carry out their work safely. They cannot be arrested and they cannot be detained in the host country. I want to check. I wrote one example somewhere. I want to check if I can see it again. Just bear with me. Sorry, just okay. I wrote one example somewhere, so I'm just trying to see that example. So number two, we have immunity from legal jurisdiction. I'm not seeing it. So, which means that diplomats are generally protected from persecution and civil suit in the host country. They are protected. They cannot take them to court in the host country. They cannot be taken to court in the host country because of the immunity they have. Because of the immunity they have, they cannot be taken to court. You understand? So, number three, embassy protection. Just bear with me. I wrote one example somewhere which is going to help in this class. Amolodo. Just bear with me. I'm looking for this example. I can't remember again. No problem. Let's continue. So, embassy protection. So, embassy protection in essence that we are talking about the building, the protection of the embassy building. That is, embassies and diplomatic missions are protected by international law. I give an example now. Somebody go and commit crime and is running, and they are running after him, and the person rush to enter one embassy. The police that are running after them, they don't have any right to enter the embassy to go and catch that person under the international law. Before they go and catch that person, there is going to be authorization from those in that particular embassy or that mission. If they don't give authorization, they cannot rush in to go and catch somebody and take the person. So the authorities from the host country cannot enter embassy building without permission. They cannot enter embassy building without permission. Because this particular rule, it ensures that the independence of diplomatic mission. It ensures the independence of diplomatic mission. Listen, the building, because that building represents the whole country, although it is not in their own territory, it's in another territory, but that particular building represents the whole country. So no one has the right to enter there just like that. That the host country don't have the right to enter there just like that. They have to come there under permission. And so why the fourth one we have is diplomatic communication. Diplomatic communication we are talking about, there is something we call diplomatic bag. It's like a bag that is all these diplomats, they have it like this. They always, if you look at this diplomat, you will see that they always have one bag they carry like that. If they don't carry it, the person that is behind them will carry it. That bag, they know they search that bag in airports. They know they search that bag. Understand? The diplomatic communication protection is important. Understand? Because it's an immunity they give them. So diplomatic messages are protected because in that particular bag, there are diplomatic messages that the host country sometimes they don't need to know about it. So it is put in diplomatic bag. This diplomatic bag, you can Google it, diplomatic bag. Understand now? So the diplomatic badge, it carries official document between embassies and government and cannot be opened or inspected by the host country officials. They cannot open it. They cannot inspect it. That shows how immunity the big immunity they have. So some people can carry cocaine and put it in a bag. Sorry. So you understand? So that is one of the contraband in these bags. So that's the challenges of this immunity they have. Listen now. So why the next type of immunity they have is tax exemption. They have been exempted. That is, diplomats are often exempted from certain taxes in the host country. If you are sent to a country from Nigeria, they send you to a country as a diplomat, there are some taxes you will not pay. This includes custom duty, personal tax. You are not going to pay it. Hassan, you are not going to pay it in the host country. These are the immunity you have as a diplomat. Hassan, so these 5 immunity I mentioned: personal protection, jurisdiction, immunity from legal jurisdiction, embassy premises protection, diplomatic communication protection, and tax exemption. They are the major diplomatic immunity type of diplomatic immunity. Understand? Am I communicating? Please let me know. Let me know if I'm communicating. Before we look at this slide, I just want to add another thing. So we might be asking ourselves why diplomatic immunity exists. Can anyone just reply that one for me? Why diplomatic immunity exists? Can anyone just reply based on your own understanding of what I've been explaining now? Why diplomatic immunity exists? Just contribute. Anybody can contribute. Why diplomatic immunity exists? Anybody to contribute? Anybody to contribute, please? Why diplomatic immunity exists? Anybody to contribute?
I think diplomatic immunity exists so that it does not interfere with the job of the diplomats, because sometimes the host country might not want you to find out some things about their country. So without the immunity, there's a lot that the diplomats cannot do. So the immunity protects them.
Thank you very much. So the diplomatic immunity, well, that's a point. Thank you very much for your contribution. Any other contribution? Any other contribution? Okay, if there's no one, we proceed. Let me just say before I explain this particular slide that you are seeing on your screen. So why diplomatic immunity exists? So you know that diplomatic immunity exists to ensure that diplomats can perform their work effectively. That is, that immunity they give them, it protects the diplomat from political pressure, political harassment, or intimidation. The immunity they give to diplomats, it protects them from political pressure, harassment, and intimidation. Because without the diplomatic immunity, diplomat might not be able to work freely in foreign country. They might not be able to work freely in foreign country because they can be harassed, they can be intimidated, or they can put political pressure on them. So to ensure that they work freely without any intimidation or pressure or harassment, that is why there is political or diplomatic immunity. You know, our politicians, most of them have immunity. The president have immunity. And one of the immunity of the president that so far is still the president. Nobody cannot go to court. They cannot charge him to court. Understand? That's the immunity they give the leader. Understand? But maybe if he is not the president for one day, he's no more president, they can charge him to court. But so far he's still there, he gets immunity. And it's in our Nigerian constitution. The politicians, The how do you call it? The constituted authority in Nigeria. They have that immunity also. Understand now? They have some of the immunity. Understand? So you can say governor. A governor can be governor. He can do or undo. They will not arrest him. But let him finish his tenure. You will see that he is going to get invitation to come to court. Understand? That means the immunity he has as a governor has ended. Understand? Now, limit to diplomatic immunity. Limit to diplomatic immunity. We have two limits. That is, even though we say that they have immunity, understand, but there is limitation to this immunity. Understand? So they have strong protection, but there is still way to deal with misconduct because we've seen cases whereby diplomats drive car and go and jam person and the person died. There is cases. Understand? There is cases of that. Understand? And we've seen cases whereby they put contraband in the diplomatic bag. Do you understand? So, but how do we deal with this kind of cases? How do we deal with this kind of problem? We have two ways to deal with them. Number one is waiver of immunity. Understand? So, the waiver of immunity. So, the waiver of immunity means that a diplomat home country can remove their immunity so that they can be prosecuted. Understand? Nigerian, example now, Nigeria sent a diplomat to a country, and that particular diplomat went to go and misbehave. Nigeria can remove the immunity. That is, we say that you are no more diplomat, though. You catch him. The host country catch him and prosecute him. Understand? That means that the diplomat home country can send them. They are the one that can remove that immunity. That's number one. They can remove that immunity so as to allow prosecution for serious offense. That's number one. But if your country did not remove the immunity, there is another one, which is persona non grata. Persona non grata. Persona non grata means that the host country can declare a diplomat persona non grata. That is, you are no more welcome in our country. We don't want you in our country. Listen, they tell you we don't want you in our country. Leave our country. Listen, that means if they declare one ambassador or one diplomat persona non grata, that means that they don't want such ambassador again in their country. That diplomat must leave the country, must go back to his home country. Understand now? So you see that it's two-way to limit the immunity of a diplomat. Number one is the country that you came from. They can remove the immunity. Number two is that the country that you are serving in, they can say that they don't want you again. Because they can say that they don't want you again because when you came to their own country to exercise your work, you submit a letter of credence to them. I mentioned that you submit a letter of credence to them to officially say you are working in the country, so you get all your immunity, right? And if they say they don't want you again, that means you have to go back immediately to your country. So that is two ways to limit diplomacy, two ways to limit diplomatic immunity, rather. Two ways to limitation of diplomatic immunity. Listen, persona non grata and waiver of immunity. These are the two ways to cancel diplomatic immunity. If you have question or contribution, you can unmute yourself. Listen. So we've done module 1. We done section 1, section 2, and we are going to the last section. It's only 2 slides. The last section is only 2 slides. Listen. That's module 2, section 1, section 2. We are in section 3. So which is the last session, which is a 2 slide. So it might take 30 minutes to explain this 1 slide like this. I don't know whether I'm talkative, but I know it can take us like 20 to 30 minutes to finish this slide. Now, the next slide we have here is consular officers and consular posts. consular officer and consular post. Understand now? Before you understand this one, you need to first understand consular relation. Understand? Consular relation. So, consular relation, this one involves the activity of consular officers who assist citizens and promote economic and cultural relation between countries. What do we call consular? Another name for consular. Anybody? Another name for consular. Another name for consular. Another name for consular. From the picture you are seeing on the slide, you should be able to understand another name for consular. Another name for consular, please. We did it in Module 1. Another name for consular. Anybody, please? Kindly unmute your mic and if you want to contribute. Another name for consular. Nobody.
The embassy.
Diplomatic mission. Yeah, embassy. You can say our diplomatic mission or our embassies. So diplomatic mission or our embassy. So we are not saying that consular relation focusing on helping citizens abroad and providing necessary service like passport and visa insurance. Listen, that is their own is just to focus on the citizen need, the need of the citizen in the country they have. Listen, like Nigeria consular in the UK, they are going to focus on the need of Nigerian in UK, like you doing our Nigerian passport, Nigerian NIN, the visa, and the likes. Listen, because unlike the diplomat, diplomat they deal with political negotiation, but consular officers mainly focus on practical service for citizens. Understand? Maybe you are working in Nigeria in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they say, okay, go and be working in one embassy in another country. You are a consular officer, right? Now you deal with citizens. Your own matter is not to talk about political negotiation. You deal with Nigerian citizens in that particular they send you because you are, how do you call, consular officer, right? Now, on the other hand, consular post. Yes, and consular posts are offices established in foreign countries to provide services. Consular posts, you can see it. They are consular posts. Consular posts, they are offices established in foreign countries to provide services. And the common types of consular posts we have consul general, we have consulate, vice consulate, honorary, consulate. Now, these offices are usually located in major cities. They are there to help people. They are there to help the citizen directly. You understand now? They are there to help the citizen directly. Understand? So, I'm coming. Uh, I did not add something here. Conclusion. No, I don't want to conclude now. I had it here. I didn't explain it. I will say it in support for trade and culture. Understand? That's what I just want to explain. But I thought I explained it better. So, functions of consular officers. I said consular officer. You are working in the consul. So the function of consular officer, number one function is helping citizen abroad. Nigerian citizen abroad, they help them, or they help their own home country citizen abroad. You understand that? Helping citizen abroad. So that's number one function of consular officers. That is, the consulate assist citizens who face problems in foreign land, understand? Such as loss of passport, arrest, illness, emergency, they comes in to help citizens abroad. Understand? Why the number two function is the issuance of passport and visa. Understand? They issue passport and visa. I didn't explain that one well in my slide here. So the issuance of passport and visa. That is the consular officer. They issue passport to their citizen and visa to foreign visitor that want to visit our country. Understand? So this help to regulate. It help to regulate travel between countries. Understand? So, and the next one we have here, another function of the consular officers. Another function of the consular officer is promoting trade and investment. They promote trade and investment. They don't only protect the citizen, they don't only issue passport, they also promote trade and investment. We did that one in module one. In module one, we did it in module one. So what we mean is that the consulate encourage economic cooperation by supporting businesses. So the business is by supporting business and partnership and investment opportunity. So there is always trade fair, whereby they invite Nigerians abroad to come and work in to come and do trade fair. Everybody, and by encouraging them to partner with Nigeria in back home and invest in Nigeria. Listen, another function of them is they promote culture and tourism. They promote culture and tourism. I can see it here. Tourism. Tourism is also one part also. Cultural exchange and tourism, they promote it. That is the consular officers. They also promote the cultural exchange program, tourism and educational cooperation. You can see it here. They promote cultural exchange, tourism, and educational program between countries. Understand? And why the last one is that they help in emergencies assistance during emergency. They help during emergency because the consulate officers help citizens during crisis such as natural disaster, as you can see in my slide, political instability, illness, to protect the citizen abroad. Because sometimes they organize evacuation. Currently, there is crisis in the Middle East. Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they've put out the information out that if any Nigeria need help in the Middle East, these are the numbers they can call, and they are going to rescue them. Understand? They can arrange evacuation. Most of Nigerian in Libya doing shagala, doing housemaid in Libya. Sometimes when they call for help, they evacuate them. They evacuate them back to Nigeria. Understand? So they provide emergency assistance to Nigeria living abroad. So we are the end of module 2. So in conclusion, what you need to know in conclusion, what you need to know is that diplomacy means peaceful relation, government to communicate, negotiate, and cooperate in international political system. And the main characteristics I mentioned peaceful negotiation as the characteristics, representation, communication, and protection of national interest. I mentioned those characteristics, and then we proceeded to talking about diplomacy, where we say diplomacy and privileges, they are provided to diplomat. They are legal protection necessary for diplomat to perform their duties. Understand? To perform their duties without interference. We talk about today is consular officers, which also play an important role in assisting the citizen abroad and promoting economic and cultural relation between countries. So this is the end of this module. So this thing we mentioned, they form the foundation of diplomatic practice. They form the foundation of diplomatic practice. Understand the characteristics, the immunity, and the consular officer. They form the foundation of modern diplomatic practice. Any question for me? Contribution, advice, suggestion? We are done with module 2 of this MIAD 810. Let me stop the recording. Recording stop. Questions, suggestions?